What's happening, my friends? Thanks so much for coming down. I am Shane from Supersense Presents, and today I'm hanging out with my friend Claire, the director of the Seen Unseen Art Project. How are you, Claire? Thanks for hanging out.
I'm I'm good, Shane. And how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. Thanks for sitting down and giving us some time to chat about Seen Unseen. This is really cool.
Absolute no problem, Shane. Anytime. So
Absolutely.
what time is it there?
What time? It's right now. It's 2:04 in the afternoon here.
Okay, and it's 7:04 in the afternoon here in the
Yeah.
evening. Yeah, so
Yes.
19, like as in 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yep. Yeah. So it's 14:04 here
Yeah.
if you're in 24 hour. So tell me a bit about what you do, who you are, and what you do before we get into Scene Unseen.
Okay, so Shane, I'm a visual artist. I'm a sighted visual artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I started the project called Seen Unseen in 2014 because I wondered, being a visual artist, I was kind of considering what would it be like if you couldn't see the art, because the gallery space is predominantly a visual space.
Right.
So I went about researching it. I'm based in Ireland, in West Cork in Ireland. So that's on the very southwestern coast of Ireland. And I decided I would explore it. So I contacted all the organizations who facilitate visually impaired and blind people in Ireland and in the UK and actually in America. And I was looking at different ways that galleries were displaying or encouraging visually impaired and blind people to experience
Yeah.
art. And I found that really there wasn't a whole lot. Um, the National Gallery in Ireland had two paintings from the National Collection done in a tactile way, by means of swell drawings. So they would break down the painting into six different sheets, with the background of the painting, the midground of
Mm-hmm.
the painting, the foreground of the painting, and then the various details, but a very scant detail. And then the picture
Right.
would build up gradually. So these were raised lines, so you could actually touch the lines. And I just felt that while that was interesting, I just felt that there was a big gap in the experience, and I felt that really more needed to be done to engage, to encourage visually impaired people first to come into the gallery, because a lot of visually impaired and blind people felt that there was nothing there for them.
Right.
And unless you welcome people in and unless you make it more engaging, people aren't going to come.
So
And
how did you do that?
yeah, so I just felt that really there was a lot to be done, and that was how Seen Unseen came about in 2014.
So
So
how did you
then
do that? How did you make those spaces more welcoming and more inclusive? What did the beginning of that project look like?
the beginning of the project looked the beginning of the project was basically getting the word out to the visually impaired and blind community that yes, the gallery is a space that's available, and please come. So in the beginning, the first Seen Unseen was one person. The second Seen Unseen was a group of 8 people. The third Seen Unseen was one person again, and then gradually it built up. And now today we have up to 40 people coming to
Wow.
any one session, and that's a
That's amazing.
combination of online and physical. And well, of course, at the moment with the pandemic, it's mostly online. But we're hoping for the next one now that there will be people in the gallery as well.
Yeah, so when you're talking about telling blind people and letting them know that the gallery is an accessible space to them, how did you make the gallery an accessible space to blind people like me?
Okay, so first of all, Shane, I would go into the gallery and I'd explain the project. And in the beginning, people didn't really understand. Some people still don't understand what Seen Unseen is. It's basically a socially engaged art project. So for me, the art project is the experience of people coming into the gallery. The whole thing, the journey to the gallery, the experience of the artworks in the gallery, and then the journey home again and the discussions around it.
Yeah.
So I had to, first of all, kind of get the staff of the gallery on board. And I worked free on the project myself. Like, I self-funded it.
Oh, wow.
Up to
That's amazing.
2 years ago. Yeah. So because I was passionate, I knew this project was really good and really interesting, but people didn't seem to understand it. And funders are, you have to fill out all of these accountancy-like forms, like to fill out a funding application in Ireland or for Creative Europe. You'd need to be a journalist, an accountant, a lawyer, and
wow.
Like there are all these skills.
Yep.
I really feel that it interferes with the creative process. And I think funders really should be more proactive in choosing the projects instead of expecting artists to apply for the funding. They should really go and explore what projects are working on the ground and fund them, instead of the artist having to possibly employ a funding application specialist to apply for funding. It doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I think really it's I think it's imperative that funders, and especially funders who are spending public money, sitting behind a desk, putting criteria in place for artists to fulfill, when really the people at the cusp of the engagement are the artists, and to put the artist in a space where they're not comfortable. In other words, expecting them to fill out forms and become accountants, lawyers, and journalists takes away from their art practice. And I think really, if people understood that, the system that's in place wouldn't be in place. It would be a different system.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it also takes away from their resources. If you as an artist have to employ a grant writer, then it takes away so much of what you could be contributing to the project as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Shane. And as well as that, then there's no guarantee you're going to get any funding, and then so this outlay. You have this outlay to another third party, just to fulfill the criteria that are set in place by people who aren't artists usually. So it doesn't make any sense to me as an artist. It doesn't make sense. I think that system needs to change.
Absolutely.
And I think I've heard that, I'm chatting to various people in different countries. Their experience would be similar, that the funding process is problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely a universal problem. I've heard about that in the United States, not even just for art ventures, but just for any kind of aspiring business person. It's just another expense. It's ironic how much money you have to pay to get money. It's crazy sometimes.
Yeah, and as well as that, like artists in particular, it's the motivating factor for artists is usually not money.
Right. Exactly.
They need money to survive, and artists need money to pay their bills like everybody else. But it's not their driving force in doing art projects. And a lot of artists have other jobs to fund their art projects.
Yeah, of course.
And think of what it would be like if they had 100% of their time given to art projects. It would make a lot more sense,
It'd be amazing.
And let the people who are good at doing funding applications and all that, let them work for the Arts Council or the Creative Europe or whoever is funding. And let them get up from behind the desk and go out and see what projects are working, how they work.
Absolutely.
And and then say, yeah, look, we love what you do. We'd love to fund you.
Yeah,
we'd love
I love that mindset.
Yeah, we'd love you to continue what you're doing. And we believe in you. You know, we
Yeah,
believe in what you're doing because we can see that it's making a difference to other people. You know,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
and I think that would work a lot across the board, actually, Shane. You know.
I think it would just bring so many more people into the process. I think um, usually what ends up happening is the people who get the funding are the people who are the best writers or the most technical writers, and it's not necessarily about always the art or the actual impact that it's having on a community. So I think that's a great idea, for any practice. If you're processing applications just to get on the ground and see what you're really working toward, I think that's a great idea. So
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, no, I think so too, because, you
yeah,
know, art has taken a very academic turn, you know,
mm,
and academic writing, while it, we all enjoy kind of researching, proper research and professional research and all that. But, you know, there is a place for art to be more inclusive and not
yeah,
just exclusive, you know, for
hmm
people who understand academic writing, you know,
yeah,
because there's a
absolutely.
lot of different ways to say something, and you can say it in an academic way and exclude people, or you can say it in a everyday language way and include people. And I would far better include people.
100%. I
Yeah.
completely agree. So walk me through what a scene on scene event looks like then when you're including people and bringing blind people into the art gallery and you start an event. Walk me through what that looks like.
Okay, so at least 2 months out from a scene on scene visit, I would select maybe two or three artworks from a particular exhibition in a gallery. I would talk to the gallery and I would say, okay, right, these are the ones that I think we should do. Is if the artist who made the works is still living, I would explore the possibility that we could have a conversation with the artist. So that the artist could come in and talk to the visually impaired people, and they could ask questions about, you know, what inspired them to do this artwork, and
Yeah,
you
I
know
love that.
what, yeah, you know, so they're getting a hands-on. So especially if it's not possible to touch the artworks,
Exactly. hmm
yeah, because in touching the artworks, you know, anybody, and in actual fact, sighted people would love to touch artworks as well. But most particularly for visually impaired or blind people, it is vital that there is some tactile element,
right.
because you need to be in touch with the materials, with the reason for doing the artwork, and, you know, somewhat the context of it.
hmm
So, for instance, say we did an exploration of an artist called Laura Fitzgerald last year in the Crawford Gallery, and she did. Her background is a farming background. Her dad is a farmer, and she did a project inspired by silage bales and by hay bales and different things that she would have seen around her farm. And this project
Yeah.
was created during lockdown. So she was at home in her father's farm in Kerry. And so that the actual they were actually sculptures kind of loosely based on the shape of hay bales and silage bales. So
hmm
I for the people who were no, unfortunately none of us were in the gallery for that one, except the artist.
Right.
I got in to see it, but because of COVID and because of restrictions, people weren't comfortable, and the gallery I think was restricted access. You know,
hmm
so I sent out tactile packs in advance, so they would go out 6 weeks in advance of a scene on scene, because of the fact that we have some scene on scene collaborators in the US and in Africa, in throughout Europe, in England and in Ireland. But in particular, the people who are far away can take up to 6 weeks by post, because I post
Right.
out a pack of tactile elements. So that would include a selection of materials, maybe something that would be like the shape of the sculpture that we're looking at. So if we couldn't, I would get the nearest thing that we could talk about it, and
Hmm.
and then the vision impaired person would have that in their hand when we're talking about it. So I
Yeah.
talk them through the tactile pack, and then each of the tactile elements would reference one of the artworks that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's really interesting. How much does this cost for people who are interested in joining scene on scene
It's
events?
free. It's totally free. And I've always I worked on this project free for a good number of years, and I have always said that sighted people can go in and choose to look at whatever they want to look at, and visually impaired people should have the same choice. So I have always insisted that the attendance is free.
That's amazing. And that does that include the tactile packs
That
as well?
includes, there's no charge. Yeah, there's no charge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
That's
then they're posted out. That's
yeah.
all covered.
How many
And the
members do you have
galleries
now?
now,
Do people sign up for individual events or is it like a
they
subscription
can,
so you're
yeah,
always
no, they sign up for individual. They're all on my website. All of the 2022 gallery visits. There's basically one a month. It's usually on the last Friday of the month,
Mhm.
and it's on at 14:50 GMT. So that's 2:30 in the afternoon, Greenwich Mean Time. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
then,
what is your website? Where can people find this? This is
yeah,
amazing.
the website is artist Clare McLaughlin. That's CLAREMCLAUGHLIN .org.
Hmm.
And if you want to sign up at any stage for any of the Scene Unseen events, or if you want more information, you can contact me at Clare, CLARE, at Scene Unseen, SEENUNSEEN .ie.
That's amazing. That's really, really interesting. So you have the artist Clare McLaughlin website and then the Scene on Scene website. What's on the Scene on Scene website?
Now, the Scene Unseen isn't a website. It's just my email was very long winded, so I decided
Ah,
to shorten it and
okay,
make
I
it
see.
more and make it easier for people, because the spelling would be different anyway,
Sure,
and it was
sure, sure.
very long. So I thought, um, judging from feedback from different people, they said, "Oh, that email is too long." So I shortened the email. So
Yeah.
I so the Scene Unseen is combined with other project, but Scene Unseen is one of my major projects. And that is on the website. And you'd see most of the information is on the blog section.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, don't
Yeah.
forget
And then
artistclaremclaughlin.com. We'll put that in the
no,
description
no,
as
dot
well.
org.
Oh,
Dot org.
.org.
Yeah.
.org. I already forgot.
Artistclaremclaughlin.org.
Artistclaremclaughlin.org.
Dot
Don't
org.
forget.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up like me, ladies and gentlemen.
No, no,
Um,
don't worry. I did. It's just I'm not hugely technical. So my website designer, who's lives in Israel actually, he was very good in setting it up, and he put accessibility tools on it as well.
oh, that's amazing.
So yeah.
I
Now
love it.
some of the photographs still need to be translated, and to have the detail, that comes up. And so I'm
Hmm.
still going through that, because when I set it up, they would, the sorry, I can't think of the word now, the method,
The alt
the
text
data, the way when you go into a photograph, you can get a description, a
Yeah, the
verbal
alt text
description.
or the caption.
Yeah, yeah. So some of them don't have that, and I apologize for that. I am working through them, so it just will take a bit of time.
I think you part of your career is designing a project that makes art more accessible to blind people. I think people can have the grace to forgive you for a couple images missing alt text on the website. I think the
Well, that'd
community
be
can pull
great.
that off. Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
if
that'll
they
be a
tell me
problem.
which ones, the best thing is tell me which ones, and I'll do them one by one.
Yeah.
Because
That's incredible.
it's like everything else. If all else fails, read the manual.
Exactly. Exactly. Where can people find you on social media as well? Where do people keep up with what's going on?
Yeah, no, there's a social, Clare McLaughlin, just Clare McLaughlin. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook.
That's amazing. So Clare McLaughlin all over on
And I'm
all
on
the social
Twitter. And I'm on
medias.
Twitter.
The Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, artistclaremclaughlin.org. I promise.
Yeah, no, well,
That's true.
the .org is just the website, but
Right.
shall I
Exactly.
tell you, I'll just have to tell you, I'll have to go into it now to see the address. Shane, 1 second. That's how technical I am.
That's funny.
Um,
And then to wrap up, which Scene on Scene event in 2022 are you most excited about?
oh, I'm excited about them all. But the
I'm
next
trying to
one,
get you in trouble here.
oh no, no, the next one, like they're all very, they're all good because the galleries that I work with, I only work now with galleries that are interested in doing it properly,
Yeah,
and facilitating the tactile packs and all that, and making the experience accessible. And they're all interested in possibly getting the artist, if the artist is living, making sure that we have, in actual fact, the next one, which is in the Crawford Gallery in Cork, we have permission to touch the sculptures. So we have 2
that's
sculptures in
incredible.
that we can touch. And that is amazing because, like, please do not touch is the usual sign you see around
Right,
our gallery.
exactly.
Yeah. And in fairness, the Crawford have been terrific all along, and from 2014, they've been there right from the beginning.
That's
And
incredible.
Boyd Gallery in Derry, then, which is in Northern Ireland,
Hmm.
and they're also brilliant to work with. We're working with a new gallery, in the tactile pack way. We're working with the Hugh Lane Gallery in Dublin, and we have a lot, and we have another few galleries on, that we're in touch with for 2023. So we'll be widening the net, as it
That's
were.
amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the community. We do truly appreciate it. Making art accessible is a really popular discussion. It's a really widespread conversation right now, I think, in the blindness community. So, I mean,
And it's about time, Shane. It should have
absolutely
been
it
done
is.
long ago.
100%. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. So thank you
And
so
and
much
Shane,
for
and
everything
actually,
you're doing there.
Shane, I'm hoping to do a project in New York.
Hmm.
It probably will be 23 now. So I'm hoping to tie in some galleries around America as well to do a scene on scene in.
Very nice.
So if any of your listeners would like to suggest galleries that might like to do a scene on scene, I'd be more than willing to do one.
Absolutely. So feel free to email Claire at sceneunseen.ie with your gallery suggestions, gallery ideas around the United States. That's really amazing that it's such a global movement now. You said all
It is.
across Europe, the U.S.,
We're
Africa.
actually
That's
looking at
incredible.
translators now, Shane, for
Wow.
countries that don't speak English. So,
Wow. This is incredible. It's so widespread. Thank you very, very much for everything you're doing for the community. Don't forget artistclaremclaughlin.org is the website. Clare McLaughlin on all the social medias. Claire at sceneunseen.ie. Thank you so much, Claire, for hanging out with me
you're
today. I
very
do
welcome. And
appreciate
the
it.
next scene on scene is on the 29th of April at 14:30
Yes.
GMT. And you'd be more than welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thanks a million,
Yes.
Shane.
Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.